I want to read a tweet that, Jay, you sent out a couple days ago. Apparently, President Trump is attacking Governor Ron DeSantis as a lockdown governor. It is a ridiculous charge. I spoke with Governor DeSantis in July 21 about his thinking on COVID, lockdowns, open schools, etc. on my otherwise neglected YouTube channel. Even back then, you were really one of the leading voices on everybody calm down. Let's see what's going on here. And Trump seems to be rewriting that in real time.
I don't really understand. I guess politics just frustrates me. I'm not sure how people put up with it. What Trump is trying to do, paint the governor as a lockdown governor, is just deeply an unfair charge. I think the state did lock down in March of 2020, mainly because Trump and Pence sent around Debbie Burks all around the country to scaring the living daylights out of almost every single governor. And so the state did lock down. But I think that DeSantis was among the earliest to open up starting in May of 2020. He called me in September of 2020. Before that clip, he just called me up out of the blue. We talked for 2 hours, Dave, and it was remarkable. He'd read a whole bunch of papers. He knew the footnotes of papers. I was floored.
Leaders take the bull by the horns and make the decisions for themselves. They don't subcontract out their leadership to health bureaucrats like Dr. Fauci.
There are some that want to open up almost now. If we disagree with it, we're not going to let them open. But I didn't like to see spas at this early stage, nor did the doctors. Going ahead and leapfrogging into phases where you should not be, I would advise him as a health official and as a physician not to do that.
Jay, I know you don't want to get bogged down too much in the political part of this, but if Trump had been president at the time and you were advising him instead of Fauci, do you think there are moments that you would have really gone in the other direction, or do you think that Fauci listens to his own experts too, and that really gets to the thesis, again, of why you guys are doing this podcast?
We don't have to play hypotheticals. We can actually see what happened, right? So in July of 2020, we had President Trump, who I think his instincts were, look, this is too excessive. Around July 2020, it was already too excessive. Why are we locking down? He brought in Scott Atlas to advise him. Scott and I were in close contact when Scott was in the White House. We were sharing papers. We were discussing, new papers were coming out nearly every day. And Scott routinely expressed his frustration to me about his inability to get across to Tony Fauci and Debbie Burks basic scientific facts that were becoming clearer and clearer about immunity, about the age, the high risk for older people, the low risk for younger people, the necessity of focused protection, the necessity of opening schools, all of that he was unable to get across. And the question I had in my mind is, why did President Trump, who actually I think had the right instincts in the middle of 2020, when he hired Scott Atlas, leave in place people like Tony Fauci and Debbie Burks to undermine his own strategy? He's the president of the United States. He has to take responsibility for the policies that he put in place, for the leaders he enabled to make those decisions. It's one of these things. I don't enter politics because I don't really. I think in public health we have to reach everybody, no matter what their politics are. But when I look at that, I just wonder what if he had really enabled Scott Atlas to be the leader that he wanted to be.